Hey everybody, what's going on? Dace here, and today we are taking a look at Eigengrau, which just recently hit the Switch. I think maybe earlier this week or something. I don't recall the exact date. But anyway, this is one that I had seen on Twitter here and there, just like the developer sharing screenshots and stuff, and it looked really cool. Definitely one that leans more in a non-traditional direction. This is kind of like one of those obstacle shmups where like there are just things to kind of like avoid and figure out as you go. You'll see what I mean as we get into it more, but already you have like a bit of an idea as to like how you're going to be maneuvering and stuff like that, and the game throws some pretty interesting things your way. So I do really enjoy like the background visuals, like it's just really colorful and all that. Certain things won't exactly be obvious as to like what you do right away, but you just gotta like kind of like sit with things and then you'll figure stuff out. So for instance, the red side that some of those enemies have, like the red wall, those walls are destructible. I don't think the blue ones are in any sort of way, and you don't, from what I can tell, you don't have any sort of bombs or anything. You just have firing in 4 directions. So I'm using like 4 of my buttons. If you want to shoot to the left, then on the Pro controller I would be pressing Y. If I want to do right, you're just pressing A, X for up, and B for down. So here's what I mean by like it wasn't so obvious, and then after like a minute or two I was like, okay, the red is the way to get in there so that you can work your way into the center and then take out the last one, which is completely shielded, until you have everything else broken apart. So when you are there is like, when you're holding down any of the fire buttons, you are kind of in like a focus shot speed shift, whereas if you're not firing, that's when you can just zoom around at a faster speed. So here, yeah, yet again, like another challenge, just kind of like keeping up with the speed and positioning of these guys scrolling in here and there. And at first, like, I wasn't sure if the lines were gonna hurt me or what was going on, but in a later section with blue lines, you'll see that they don't hurt you, but they do like press you, or they push you. Like you can't get through it unless you're at the very bottom of the screen, and then I think it kind of like lets you go through. And there may be other things that I'm just not aware of, because what you're seeing here is just my first sit down with the game. So I honestly just played for about 10 minutes just to get a feel for things. So yeah, there's a lot to keep up with, and I don't think it would take too long before you kind of just like know the ropes, and then you're just doing things way more efficiently and all that. So. But so far, it's like really cool. Like I just love how vibrant the colors are. Like the purples are just popping on the screen, and all the shots are like just very obvious. Like you can just, you know when something's coming your way. And the music is great too. So yeah, all in all, like I've got no complaints really. It's a different game, of course. It kind of like reminds me of I'm not sure, like. Very different from something like, what is it called? Graceful Explosion Machine? I don't recall if that's the title or not, but something like that. Where it's not going in that traditional direction. It's just kind of providing something new and refreshing. It may not be the kind of thing you want to jump into all the time, but here and there it's just really, really cool to check out for a little bit. So here, obviously, when they impact is when they like launch. So there's probably a very efficient way to just take out all these guys way faster. But yeah, like I said, this was just the first time playing. And there's kind of like a big enemy coming up that bounces around, and it's really cool because you know how in like platformers where there will be like a boss that does like a big jump and it makes the floor shake, and if you're standing on the floor when that happens, your character bounces or whatever, or is sometimes like limited in some way. In here we have a section coming up where you use the impact of the big enemy to bounce over the crisscrossing lines and avoid the shots and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really neat thing to see thrown into a game like this, because it's incredibly uncommon to see that kind of stuff. But I can see a lot of people really enjoying this sort of experience. And of course, you can only shoot them when they are like landing. As far as I know, it's either they're like, for the bouncing ones, there are technically like two planes. So it's either when they're up or down. But I think it's when it's down that you can get your hits in. So this took a while because it also messes up your directional. So when you can't just be holding down, let's say up, because you will be you'll land one direction or another depending on how things go, and so you need to correct that. So I found that just double tapping the direction I actually want was the way to go. But it's tricky because you're focusing on timing the jumps, but you also want to be lining up. And I found that this kind of took a little bit to just bring this guy down. And again, I think there's probably a much faster way to do it without suffering from all the spinning around and stuff, but yeah. So there we go. This is where things get a little more complicated, because we'll have different waves of these enemies, and based on how they crisscross and all that kind of stuff, you can very quickly have lines of bullets just blocking off certain sections if you're not being so smart about it. But it makes for a fun time for sure. And just the way the lines bend and twist, it's fun just working your way around this stuff. Now, if this does look a little more on the challenging side, just keep in mind I have it set to hard mode. There's easy and there's hard. That's all there is. Right out of the gate, so to speak. Anyway, and I doubt they would open up a medium difficulty after the fact. So I'm going to assume it's just easy and hard, and that's what's what. So if this looks too crazy, just keep in mind that there is an easier mode that probably wouldn't be as challenging. And there were some pretty risky instances and tight squeezes, and obviously I'm not performing well at all right now. It's just kind of figuring things out as I go, but it's an interesting experience nonetheless. And there we go. So that's the run. So yeah, I didn't really dip into what else the menu has to offer. I know there's a leaderboard of some sort, and this is 2-player as well. And you can kind of just revisit specific stages and pick up where you want to go from and all that kind of stuff. But I figured I would just do a little sample of the game just to share that with everybody and see what everyone thinks of this. Maybe you've seen it before, maybe you've played it, maybe you're seeing it for the first time and you want to check it out because it looks interesting. Leave all that stuff down below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this one. But yeah, anyway, thanks so much for checking this out. I really appreciate all the support and all that great stuff. So thank you. Have a stellar day, and we will see you all next time.